Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beard Brigade. I'm John Solo, you are not, and we're doing a special Storytime segment, and this one is only going to be available on YouTube. And this one is for the 7th book in the White House Men series called Heal by Nora Phoenix. You can see the graphic down below there. Spoilers ahead if you haven't read this series. I mean, we're book 7 now. You should know there's spoilers at this point. But if you haven't, for some reason, tap out right now. But obviously, if you have, if you haven't read this book or anything, but you really just want to keep listening, please, by all means, hang out with us. We got Tracy in the background. Say hi, Trace.
Hi, Trace.
Ha. She's going to be correcting my mistakes because this is a work in progress right now. This is a live session that you're going to be watching. So we are up to, I believe, chapter 9. So enjoy, have fun, and feel free to ride along here. Chapter 9. A thin shine of sweat covered the president's face, and Issa frowned. Was it that warm backstage? He was often cold himself, so not the best person to judge, but even in his cardigan he had still been shivering in the icy blast of the AC. He checked his watch. They still had 8 minutes. He leaned in. "Are you okay, Mr. President? Can I get you anything?" The president cleared his throat. "It's hot in here." Maybe, and the president did tend to run warm, but Issa doubted that was the real problem. What was going on? In a few minutes, the president cleared his throat. "It's hot in here." Maybe, and the president did tend to run warm, but Issa doubted that was the real problem. What was going on? In a few minutes, the president was scheduled to step onto the massive stage at the Boston. But Issa doubted that was the real problem. What was going on? In a few minutes, the president was scheduled to step onto the massive stage at the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center, the location of the Democratic Convention, where they would officially nominate Vice President Riggs as the Democratic presidential candidate. She had to fight hard in the primaries, but had managed to clinch the nomination. The president's brief speech, he was supposed to speak for 5 minutes and not a second longer, would be broadcasted live. But that couldn't be the cause for the president's discomfort. He was an accomplished public speaker, and Issa had never picked up on any nerves in situations like this. He gestured one of the production assistants over. "Can you check on the temperature? Maybe set the temp for the AC a little lower. The president likes it Arctico." "Can you check on the temperature? Maybe set the temp for the AC a little lower. The president likes it Arctic cold." I always say that word wrong. Arctic. For some reason, I never put that first C in there. I always say Arctic instead of Arctic. It drives me nuts. "Can you check on the temperature? Maybe set the temp for the AC a little lower. The president likes it Arctic. Wow. "Can you check on the temperature? Maybe set the temp for the AC a little lower. The president likes it." Fuck you, Nora. Likes it Arctic. "Can you check on the temperature? Maybe set the temp for the AC a little lower. The president likes it Arctic. The president likes it fucking cold, all right? That's how he likes it. "Can you check on the temperature? Maybe set the temp for the AC a little lower. The president likes it Arctic cold." The guy nodded, hurrying off. "Can I get you some water?" Issa asked the president. Yes, that would be good. Water would be good." Oh my God, what was happening? The man wasn't himself. Issa had never seen him this flustered and off his game, especially not in a public situation. He rushed over to the cooler in the corner and grabbed a bottle of ice-cold water. As soon as he handed it to the president, the man guzzled half of it down. When he met Issa's eyes, his blue eyes showed pure panic. "What's going on?" Issa made certain his voice was so low no one else would be able to hear it. "I'm super hot all of a sudden." "Are you feeling sick? Do you think you might have caught something?" Without thinking about it, Issa reached for him, and the president allowed Issa to put 2 fingers on his wrist to check his pulse. His heart was racing. "No, I don't think so. I'm just hot. Nervous. Pardon me for saying so, but being nervous isn't normal for you." "I know." Issa pulled a white handkerchief from his pocket, then carefully dabbed the sweat off the president's face. He'd already been through makeup, so Issa had to make sure not to wipe off any of the concealer he was wearing. The president hated the stuff, but he also knew it was necessary on TV. "When did it start?" Issa asked. The president bit his lip, so uncharacteristic for him, but then his eyes lit up. "I spotted the Secret Service..." bit his lip, so uncharacteristic for him, but then his eyes lit up. "I spotted the Secret Service's canine unit doing the rounds." It clicked for Issa. The security around the convention was nothing short of insane, much like it had been at every event the president had attended since Issa had started accompanying him. A necessary evil, President Schaefer had once explained to him, increased by the security services. It had been at every event the president had attended since Issa had started accompanying him. A necessary evil, President Schaefer had once explained to him, increased by the Secret Service's steadfast commitment not to screw up again, and yet, for some reason today, it had triggered him. "You're scared," he said softly. The president swallowed, his eyes drilling into Issa's. "I'm terrified. I know I have no reason to, but..." Issa followed his gut. "Of course you have reason to be scared. We've all seen what happened to President Markinson under very similar circumstances. You'd be a fool not to have that in the back of your mind, and we both know you're no fool." For a moment the president seemed frozen, but then a nervous chuckle flew from his lips. "You'd never react the way I expect you." The president seemed frozen, but then a nervous chuckle flew from his lips. "You never react the way I expect you to. I will always tell you the truth, and that's a promise. I won't lie to you, not even to make you feel better. I appreciate that more than you could ever understand. In this job, being lied to seems par for the course. I've lost count of the number of times where people lied straight to my face, even with good intentions. I want nothing but the best for you, but I don't think lying is the best way to go." The president blew out a soft breath.
I don't think lying is the way to go.
Times where people lied straight to my face, even with good intentions. I want nothing but the best for you, but I don't think lying is the way to go. The president blew out a soft breath, and Issa was standing so close to him it danced over his skin. "Thank you. I don't like feeling like this. I hate being scared. You served. You've been in battle. Were you scared then?" The president nodded. "Every single time. You get used to it. One of my commanding officers once told me that the moment he would stop being scared was the moment he would resign his commission. Fear for the enemy was healthy and necessary, he said. The challenge was to compartmentalize it, not to let it take over. So that's what you'll do here as well. Acknowledge that you're scared. Accept it. Then go on stage anyway and give that speech." "Mr. President, it's time," one of the production assistants said. "Give us one moment," Issa said, without looking at her. "Accept it. Then go on stage anyway and give that speech." "Mr. President, it's time," one of the production assistants said. "Give us one moment," Issa said, without looking at her. "We're on a tight schedule in 20 seconds. He needs 20 seconds. The assistant seemed to clue into the fact something was going on and stepped back, but Issa could feel her watching them. "You think I can do this?" Issa's heart clenched. He'd never heard the man this insecure, this vulnerable. "Yes, Mr. President, you've shown time and again that when the country needs you to, you step up. Right now, Americans need to hear you endorse Senator Riggs. They need to know that you have full confidence in her abilities to do the job you've performed so well. So take a deep breath, push down that fear so it diminishes to the size it should be, and step out on that stage. The president reached for his hand blindly and squeezed it with a force that made Issa wince. Thank you for everything. My pleasure. One more squeeze, one more deep breath, and then the president straightened his shoulders, lifted his chin, and the fear slid off his face. He was ready. Shoulders lifted his chin, and the fear slid off his face. He was ready. Issa watched him take his position on the right side of the stage, still hidden behind the massive dark blue curtains. Please welcome to the stage the President of the United States, Delano Abraham Schaefer. The president smiled as he stepped out, and Issa's heart filled with a mix of pride and relief. I'm going to go back. Sure, announcer voice, but that's going to pull everybody out of the story. His position on the right side of the stage, still hidden behind the massive dark blue curtains. Please welcome to the stage the President of the United States, Delano Abraham Schaefer. The president smiled as he stepped out, and Issa's heart filled with a mix of pride and relief. Another crisis solved. The production assistant, who had earlier spurred them on, popped up beside him. What was going on? Issa whipped his head around and sent her a cold look. Nothing that concerns you, and if I see or hear any media outlets report about this, I'll know it was you. Geez, no reason to get all snarky. I was just asking, she mumbled, holding her hands up as she stalked away. Yeah, maybe Issa had reacted a tad too sharply. He tended to do that when it concerned the president. He'd become protective of him, doing whatever he could to shield him from anything negative. All part of his job. He walked over to a monitor where he could watch the president deliver the speech he had practiced enough times he didn't even need the teleprompter. He looked good, his light blue shirt and dark blue suit bringing out his eyes, which already featured in Issa's dreams more than he cared to acknowledge, even to himself. The amount of white in the president's salt and pepper hair had increased, and his short beard had gone silver almost completely, but Issa thought it looked amazing on him. Distinguished, sharp, smart. The dark-rimmed glasses only added to the effect, and every time Issa saw him like this, his...
Only added to that effect.
It looked amazing on him. Distinguished, sharp, smart. The dark-rimmed glasses only added to that effect, and every time Issa saw him like this, his stomach did a little dance. It's been an honor being your president, the president said, sounding as warm as if he were speaking to a group of friends. And I think you all know the sacrifices I've made in the line of duty for this job. He paused a moment, blinking rapidly as if fighting back tears. I've thought a lot about it, about whether it was worth it. Issa's heart skipped a beat. The president was going off script. What was he doing? Losing my wife was the single hardest thing I've ever had to go through. But my experience isn't unique. Every day, people in our country lose their significant others. Some in the line of duty in the armed forces, or as a first responder. Others due to senseless violence, freak accidents, horrible diseases. Death, as much as we detest it, is an inevitable part of life. Sarah was taken from me, from us, way too soon. But I'm grateful that experiencing that loss has helped me understand so much better what many of our fellow Americans go through. Issa wiped a tear from his eyes before it could fall down his cheeks. Too often, presidents have been people who shared little with the majority of Americans, rich, privileged, white, and male. I fit squarely into that category, and I'm well aware of that. But Joanna Riggs does not. Not only will she be the first female president, but her background shows shared experiences with many of you. She grew up in poverty, the daughter of a single mom who struggled to put bread on the table. Educated in the public school system rather than exclusive private schools, Joanna Riggs has had to work hard to get where she is today. She understands poverty. She understands the challenges of an underperforming school. She understands the unique issues women still face, ranging from the infamous glass ceiling to all kinds of subtle and not so subtle, discrimination and misogyny. She also understands loss. Her first husband died a hero in Iraq, and she received the flag of a grateful nation. She knows like no other what it is like to make sacrifices for this country, and she is prepared to bring them. I've been honored to have her as my vice president, and I'm even more honored to formally introduce her to you as the next president of the United States. Please welcome Vice President Joanna Carroll Riggs. The applause that greeted the vice president as she entered the stage was so thunderous it reverberated under Issa's feet. And wow, what a speech. Issa had thought the original speech rousing and perfect, but this had been utter brilliance, straight from the heart, personal, and 100% befitting this president. As soon as President Schaefer was off stage, people swarmed him from all sides, wanting to shake his hand, talk to him, be near him. "Mr. President, we'd appreciate a few minutes of your time." The man who had said this looked familiar. Uh-oh.
He's not. And if he is, it never says. You're fine.
Perfect. I'll do it again, just make it a little bit unique here. From all sides, wanting to shake his hand, talk to him, be near him. "Mr. President, we'd appreciate a few minutes of your time." The man who said, or had said this, near him. "President, we'd appreciate a few minutes of your time." The man who had said this looked familiar, but Issa couldn't place him right away. He didn't need his name to know what to do, however. He had seen the president's face, the lines of exhaustion around his eyes, and he stepped next to him. "Mr. President, we need to leave." In moments like this, he always used his official voice, speaking louder than he usually would and enunciating every word clearly so there could be no misunderstanding about his message. "I'm sorry, but you heard my assistant. I am already late for my next appointment." The president probably sounded apologetic to everyone else, but Issa knew the truth. He stayed calm under the dirty looks he received, not in the least intimidated by them. Part of his job was to be the bad guy, so the president didn't have to be. Issa always imagined himself to be like Teflon in those situations, letting it all slide right off him. Minutes later, they had managed to escape, and the Secret Service led them to the presidential limousine, which had been, but there's more to that sentence than meets the eye. They had managed to escape, and the Secret Service led them to the presidential limousine, which had been parked in a cordoned-off part of the garage. Words are hard. The presidential limousine, which had been parked in a cordoned-off part of the garage. As soon as the agent closed the door behind them, the president slumped back in the seat and let out a loud sigh. "God, I'm glad that's done." He rubbed his temples, then looked sideways at Issa. "Thank you for getting me out of there. Did we actually need to leave? Do I have another appointment? I'm sorry, but I'm totally spacing right now. You had a meeting with the chairman of the committee that's spearheading the efforts for a presidential library for you, but I've already asked Max to reschedule, so no, you don't have anything else, which means we can head back to Air Force One and fly home." Funny how home had come to mean the White House to him and not his tiny little apartment. Thank fuck. I'm exhausted. Without saying a word, Issa pulled a cold water from the mini fridge in the limo. With a grateful expression, the president accepted it and emptied it within seconds. Issa took the empty bottle from him. He needed to ask the flight attendants on Air Force One to make sure they stocked more water and something to eat, something healthy, maybe a Caesar salad and a club sandwich. He fired off a quick text to make that happen. When he looked sideways again, the president had his eyes closed, his mouth dropping open as his body relaxed. The man had an uncanny ability to fall asleep in the car, lulled into drowsiness every single time. Issa smiled as he focused on his phone again, making sure he wasn't forgetting anything, as always unable to relax until they were on the plane. A few minutes later, a soft snore informed him the president was asleep, and then his body sagged sideways until it rested against Issa's. Not for the first time either, but that warm, fluttery feeling he got in his stomach when the president's head rested on his shoulder grew stronger every time. That's it. Chapter 9 in Heal. Thanks for watching. Enjoy one of the other videos you're going to see pop up here. I will see you next time. Have fun. Good luck. Bye.